Hey mama, before we get into today's episode, I want to sit with something for a second. This week, we lost Hayden Panettiere. We all knew her. We all grew up with her. You either watched her in Nashville or just remembered her from People magazine. She was 36. Her family asked for privacy while they process what is honestly an unimaginable loss. So I'm not going to speculate about anything. That's not what today is about. I want to honor her today. She was a large advocate for many things. And one of the things she spoke openly about was postpartum depression. She was incredibly brave with sharing her story about postpartum depression and the childhood that came before it. In the memoir she released this year, she wrote about growing up with her mom as her manager. Not just her mom, her manager. And when a little girl needs a mother most, and what she gets instead is someone managing her weight, her schedule, her image, her output, that leaves a mark. She talked about feeling less like a daughter and more like a commodity. And then when she had her own daughter in 2014, she was hit with postpartum depression so severe it left her bedridden for days. And she eventually made the gut-wrenching decision to give up custody so her daughter could have stability she felt she couldn't give to her at the time. I'm not a grief counselor. And I'm not going to pretend I have answers for a family in the middle of the worst days of their life. But as a child development specialist, as someone who has sat with moms in the thick of postpartum, I do know this. Her story is not rare. And I think the most respectful thing we can do with it is talk honestly about why it happens, so it hurts fewer of us next. Here's the thing nobody tells you before you become a mom. Your postpartum experience doesn't start the day you give birth. It starts decades earlier in your own childhood. There's a growing body of research on what's called ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. Things like emotional neglect, having a parent who was more critical or controlling than nurturing, growing up without steady emotional safety. And a 2024 meta-analysis pulling together 24 studies found that women with higher ACE exposure have more than double the risk of postpartum depression compared to women without that history. That the more of these early experiences you had, the more your body's stress response system gets rewired. Your cortisol, your nervous system, the whole architecture that's supposed to help you regulate emotion, so that by the time you're standing in the fog of a new motherhood, running on no sleep, your system is already more primed to tip into depression or anxiety. This isn't about blaming anyone's parents on a podcast. It's about understanding that if you had a childhood where you had to grow up a little too fast, where you were the one managing everyone else's feelings, where love felt conditional on performance, and then postpartum hit you like a truck. That is not a coincidence. That is your nervous system doing exactly what the research says it would do. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are carrying something that started long before your baby did. Okay, second thing I need you to hear, because I think this is the biggest myth in all of motherhood. Postpartum is not a 6-week window. The National Institute of Health followed over 4,000 women for 3 full years after they gave birth. A quarter of them had high levels of depressive symptoms at some point during those 3 years. Not just in the newborn haze, but well into toddlerhood. So some of these moms didn't even start struggling until year 2. The researchers straight up said the standard 6-month screening window isn't long enough, and they're now recommending we screen moms for at least 2 years postpartum, possibly longer. So if you're 2 years out from having your baby and you're still not feeling like yourself, you are not making it up. You are not past the point where this is allowed to be postpartum. Your OB moving on from you at the 6-week checkup does not mean your body and brain moved on too. Some of this can actually be flagged before the baby even arrives, if you know what to look for. Research points to a handful of things that raise your risk. Depression or anxiety symptoms during pregnancy itself, a personal history of depression or any mood disorder even years ago, low self-esteem or a pattern of being really hard on yourself, high stress levels during pregnancy, a hard relationship, financial stress, a move, not having steady support around you, gestational diabetes, and as we talked about it, a history of childhood adversity. If a few of these are true for you right now while you're pregnant, that's not a prediction that you'll struggle. It's information. Tell your provider, ask for a referral to a perinatal therapist before the baby comes, not after you're already underwater. For moms who are already on the other side of birth, here's what postpartum depression and anxiety can actually look like, because it's so much more than sad. Feeling numb or disconnected from your baby or from yourself, rage that feels bigger than the moment, constant intrusive worry or scary intrusive thoughts that terrify you, not being able to sleep even when the baby's sleeping, losing interest in things that used to feel like you, feeling like you're failing at something everyone seems to just know how to do, a heaviness that doesn't lift no matter how much you tell yourself to snap out of it. If any of that sounds like you, today or 6 months from now, or 2 years from now, that's your sign to say something. And I want to talk about something hard. If you've lost or miscarried a baby, these are also signs for you to follow by too. And I'm sorry. Here's what I need every single one of you to walk away with. Postpartum depression can hit anybody. It doesn't care if you had the easy pregnancy or the hard one. If this is a baby 1 or baby 4, if you have a village, or if you're just doing this alone, you did nothing wrong. And if you're on medication and it isn't working, or it's making you feel like a zombie, or something feels off, that is not you failing at treatment. Every single one of us has a different brain chemistry, a different history, a different nervous system. What works for your sister or your best friend might not work for you, and that is normal. Go back to your doctor. Say, this isn't right for me. Can we adjust it or try something else? That conversation is not you being difficult. That's you advocating for your own healing. And you are allowed to take up that space. We have to normalize this, not just the diagnosis, but the whole messy process of finding the right support, the right therapist, the right medication. And yes, sometimes the second or third medication. Because when we go quiet about it, women suffer in silence, exactly like Hayden did for years before she finally said it out loud. If you or someone you love is struggling right now, Postpartum Support International has a free helpline. You can call or text HELP to 1-800-944-4773 anytime in English or Spanish. This episode is for Hayden and for her daughter Kaya, and for every mom listening right now who thought she was the only one still struggling long after everyone stopped asking. You're not behind, you're not broken, and you're not alone.